All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing His word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And what I want to get into, all right, this morning, dealing with the spirit of haste, being in haste to flee from these times, okay? Being in haste to seeing Yahweh Shai come and establish a righteous kingdom in the earth. Alright, they're seeing being in haste, the spirit of seeing Esau being removed from power, to see the elects delivered, change. Okay, the earth, being transformed back into a paradise, man. We should be in the haste, to get to the promises and blessings, that was given to our forefathers, man. So let's go here because we're going to the Passover where it's a high holy day and it's a spirit of urgency because of what was going on that night. That was the same night when we will be delivered out of Egypt. Okay? So it was a spirit of haste. Things were done in the urgent matter. And that's what we at now in the spirit. We gotta have a spirit of haste, man. We gotta move lightly in these times, man, ready to let all things go at the drop of a dime. As we know, things are finna make a major shift. Yahweh Shai is finna bring a major shift in the earth, man. Prophecy gonna bring a major shift in the earth, man. And we have to be in the spirit of haste, the spirit of urgency, the spirit of ready to move on to the next phase, man. Okay? There's gonna come a time where it's gonna be a day, and it'll never go back to that certain. Like it's gonna be one of these days to where things are gonna change. It's not gonna go back to how it was before. Okay? And we have to prepare our minds for that transition. To be uncomfortable, all right, to not to have certain conveniences. Okay? It's gonna be, hey, the Lord finna shift things up. He finna shake things up, man. And we have to be in the spirit of haste and urgency, man, and move with it. Okay? So when you go to Exodus, and this is the NLT Bible, when you read Exodus 12 and 11, all right, it says, these are your instructions for eating this meal. Be fully dressed, wear your sandals, and carry your walking stick in your hand. Eat the meal with urgency, for this is the Lord's Passover. On that night I will pass through the land of Egypt and strike down every firstborn son and every firstborn male animal in the land of Egypt. I will execute judgment against all the gods of Egypt, for I am the Lord. Okay? So the Lord instructed us, we will be fully clothed, our shoes will be on, ready to move. And now we have to be fully clothed in the spirit. Scripture speaks about we're putting on the whole armor of the Most High. Okay? The helmet of salvation, the sword of His word, the shield of faith, the breastplate of righteousness, man, which that all goes back to our conduct and our belief. Okay? So we have to be spiritually fully dressed in these times. Okay? With our feet, all right, prepared to move, man, in the spirit. And then we're going to be physically prepared to move as things are finna change according to prophecy, man. Okay? So we're clothed in the spirit with the mindset of haste, man. Okay? About how our feet should be shod with what? The preparation of the gospel, man. The good news, man. Okay? The things that are happening, all right, because remember, even in during the time of the first Exodus, well, guess what? It was good news that night for Israel, but bad news for the Egyptians. Just like now, our good news is bad news for these people, man. So if these things that's happening, that people are becoming anxious and, depressed and fearful of, guess what? This is our good news, man. That means it's time to go. See, when we see these events happening, man, we know, okay, it's time to go, man. It's time to get out of here, man. Okay? Hey, it's time to get ready to let everything on this side go, all right, and run towards, okay, what's to come, man, which is a righteous kingdom, okay? But it starts with here now. Now the urgency is here. We got to detach right here, so we can detach when it's time to move on to the next phase, man, okay? So let's go here to the book of Luke. Yahweh Shai made a point, all right, when you go to the book of Luke 12. Start at 35, and this is NLT. Luke 12 and 35 in NLT. It said, "Be dressed for service and keep your lamps burning as though you were waiting for your master to return from the wedding feast." All right, so it says, "Well, be dressed." Just like the Passover, you be fully dressed. So Yahweh Shai is telling us in the spirit, hey, to be dressed, be ready. Because the Lord can shift gears quick, man, and things can change, man. So we have to be ready here. You see? You have to be ready to move to the next phase, man. Okay? These day-to-days, right now things are copacetic, and you see, but it's gonna come a time where it's gonna be a shift. Okay? Prophecy gonna shift this thing into another phase, man. And we gotta be ready to move with it, man. Move on to the next phase. Okay? Come to the point to where ain't gonna be no jobs to go to. Okay, ain't gonna be no restaurants to go to, no bars to kick it at. Okay? We gotta be ready here, now. So when these things happen, man, okay, boom, let's go to the next phase. Okay? And it says, "Be dressed for service and keep your lamps burning," being on fire in the spirit. It said, "As though you were waiting for your master to return from the wedding feast. Then you'll be ready to open the door, all right, and let him in the moment he arrives and knocks, man." And how does Yahweh Shai arrive and knocks, man? Through prophecy, man. Prophecy is Yahweh Shai knocking, all right, before he kicked the door down, okay, and come and conquer the earth in righteousness, man. But these prophecies happening, man, it's Yahweh Shai knocking at the door, okay, and we want to be fully dressed and ready for this transition, man. Let's go here, because when you go to let's go to Second Esdras. Second Esdras 16 and 17. It says, "Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack." All right, so the plagues are drawing nigh and they're not slack, man. That's why things are intensifying. Okay, and they're happening more often. Okay, it says, "As when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrows shall come upon it on every side," man. Sorrow shall come upon it on every side, man. Okay? And this is what we're seeing happening now, and this is Yahweh Shai knocking, man. These prophecies happening is Yahweh Shai knocking at the door. Okay? Getting ready to kick this thing open, man. You see? So prophecy let us know where we at. That it's that time. You see, and that's the thing too. We're watching for all the signs of the coming of Yahweh Shai. Okay? And according to the events, man, we're close. Okay? Verse 40 says, "O my people, hear my word, make you ready to thy battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth," man. Because when our forefathers was going through the wilderness, man, they was pilgrims, man. When our forefathers and foremothers was in the wilderness, that was a pilgrimage to the promised land. Okay? So we're in the time now to where, our possessions and, jobs and careers and, okay? There's going to come a time where we're going to have to turn that loose, man. Okay, because Esau, he wants to create a society where you're gonna have a device. You're gonna have to merge with this technology, man. You're gonna have to accept his idol. Okay, you're gonna have to bend the knee to his idol, man, to continue in this society, man. And we know that's not even an option for us, man. Lord will we endure. All right, Lord will we're predestined not, okay, to bend the knee to Baal, man, to this system. Okay, so we're gonna have to be ready to go into the next phase. All right, already dressed and clothed and ready to go to the next phase, man. Okay, when prophecy begins to start to shift, you see, and we should urgently, we should haste the day, okay, that the Lord, all right, sends His Son Yahweh Shah, man, to just come get us out of here, man. Okay, that's why you go here to 2nd Ezra 14, and I started 13. It says, now therefore set thine house in order. You know? And how do we set our house in order? Yahweh Shai. Okay? As we conforming to Yahweh Shai, we're setting our house in order, man. Whether it's, just an individual brother. Okay? Whether it's a brother and his family. Okay? That's being set in order through Yahweh Shai. Well, this is the time to set our house in order, man. Set ourselves in order according to Yahweh Shai. Okay? And if you're a woman that's by yourself, well, the Lord is preparing you to join a brother's house, man. Okay? So as you're getting yourself in order, is what a woman should be doing. The Lord is preparing you to be joined to a house that's going to be delivered, man. Okay? And it says, now therefore set thine house in order, and reprove thy people, comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption, man. And how do we comfort them that are in trouble, man? Through the preaching of this word. Okay? Because the elect is comforted by what? This word. The preaching and the teaching of this word is a comfort to the elect. Okay? Constantly renouncing the corruption which is this world. You renounce everything about this world, man. Everything. Nothing about this world is on point, man. We're here to renounce everything about this world. Okay? It says, let go from thee mortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of men. Put off now the weak nature, man. And so it starts with here, the thoughts. So we can't think like mortals anymore. We got to start thinking like immortals. This is just a little moment in time, man. That's why we can't put so much emphasis on these little moments in time, especially things that don't matter, man. We definitely don't have time, okay, to be occupied with things that don't matter, man. Okay, that don't have no weight, man. We here, man. We at the door, okay, of a new age, of a righteous kingdom getting ready to be established in the earth, man. So we really got to reprioritize what truly matters, man. We got to do that often, man. Sit back and reprioritize, okay, what really matters in this moment, in this time. Okay? And we come to find that most things don't even matter, man. A lot of things we're just doing, going through the motion as we're waiting, okay, hey, this transition, man. As we're going through the transition, man. Okay, and as prophecy shift these things into, as we keep going to new phases in prophecy, man, things that matter during this time ain't gonna matter during the next phase of prophecy, man. Okay? Then you have another phase. See, things that ain't, this world, you can't cling on to these mortal thoughts and understandings and, emotions. And nah, man. We're going to the next phase, man. These things got to stay in this phase. We got to go to the next. Okay? But it starts with what? It said, put off mortal thoughts, going back to our mind. And it says, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste to flee from these times, man. Haste to flee from these times, man. This age, man. This world. Okay, this wicked kingdom of Esau, Edom, man. Okay, we in the spirit of hasting to flee from these things, man. Because we got so much to look forward to. Nothing to look back at, man. There's absolutely nothing to look back at here, man. Okay? 2nd Ezra 2. And I started at 10 and said, thus said the Lord unto Ezra, Tell my people that I will give them the kingdom of Jerusalem, which I would have given unto Israel. Okay? So the Lord, all right, it shows that the Lord intended for his people to rule from the beginning. But we had to, we had to get this experience, man. We had to go through the process, man. Being refined, you know. So we had to be refined as a people, man, to be that, um, that to be a nation fit for righteous rulership, we had to be refined. Yahushua was the first one to complete, all right, to be perfected, okay, through affliction, man. Okay? And we're following that path of being perfected through affliction, okay? As the Lord is finna transition from the kingdom of Esau to the kingdom of Israel, man. Okay? We're being refined for this transition. You see? And it says, their glory would I take unto me. And what's the glory of the Most High? He's immortal. So he's going to make us immortal. We're going to be an extension of the Most High's immortality in the earth, man. You see? And it says, and give these the everlasting tabernacles which I have prepared for them. They shall have the tree of life for an ornament of savor. They shall neither labor nor be weary. Yeah, we're going to have, we're going to open up to another level of wisdom, for the sake of what? Govern the earth in righteousness, man. Bringing paradise back to the earth. And we're not going to weary and be labor. We're going to have those new bodies. And we're not going to do no laborious work in the kingdom, man. Okay? Through our wisdom and the labor of the heathen, man, the earth is going to be beautified, man. It's going to be cleansed by fire from this destruction. Okay? Then it's going to be beautified through, wisdom, okay, of the Most High through his people. All right? And the labor of these heathens, man. Verse 13 says, go and you shall receive, pray for a few days unto you, that they may be shortened, the spirit of haste. The kingdom is already prepared for you. Watch, man. And we have everything to look forward to, nothing to look back at, man. So that's the point. We should be in the spirit of haste, in our minds, ready to go to the next phase. All right. And ultimately get out of here completely, man, at the return of Yahushua. So, Lord will you, brothers. All right. And you few sisters edified. Till next time, I say shalom. Kwame Yashala. Abba soon. Shalom.